Hi everyone, and welcome to H100's presentation of our fourth quarter and full year report 2025. This presentation will be divided into three parts. First, I will give an introduction to H100. Secondly, I will run through our financial highlights for the fourth quarter and the full year 2025. And lastly, Sandra Andersen will give an update on our Bitcoin strategy. First, a legal disclaimer, which we really recommend everyone to pause and read carefully. So, this overview shows H100 in a nutshell. In April 2025, H100 went public on the Nordic growth market. And since then, we have raised approximately 1.19 billion Swedish kronor, and we have acquired 1,046 Bitcoin during 2025. This resulted in H100 being the largest listed Bitcoin holder in the Nordics, and we created a Bitcoin yield from Q2 to Q4 of 257%, where we acquired 4.69 Bitcoin on average each day last year. H100 is divided into two different business areas. On the one side, we have our Bitcoin strategy, and on the other side, we have our health tech business. The Bitcoin side is, from an economical point of view, the largest business area we have. And year-end 2025, we were ranked number 6 in Europe in terms of total Bitcoin holdings with 1,046, and we were the largest Bitcoin holder in the Nordics. And as of today, we hold 1,051 Bitcoin. And during the last few weeks, we have gotten a lot of questions on what our health tech business actually delivers. So I want to use a couple of minutes to explain that. So our health tech business, named Entire Body, deliver on the one side coaching tools to digital and online coaches, where they will have access to customer management, nutrition planning, exercise programming, private chat, and an AI assistant, which gives the online coach all the tools they need to deliver their services. On the other side, Entire Body delivers a customer app where the customer will have their health data tracked and stored. They can integrate their own wearables, as for example their Apple Watch, and they will have access 24/7 to nutrition and exercise plans, recipes and exercise libraries, and other learning resources, which at the end of the day gives the customer a coach in their own pocket 24/7. And Entire Body has helped over 10,000 customers during the last 10 years and is today one of the top 3 platforms in Norway when it comes to online coaching. I also want to run through our significant events during 2025. And 23rd of April last year, we did the IPO. We went public through a reverse takeover on the Nordic growth market in Stockholm. So it's actually quite insane to think back that we listed under a year ago and compared to where we are today. A month later, after the listing, we bought our first 4.39 Bitcoin, and by 30th June 2025, we launched our officially board-approved Bitcoin strategy. End of July or mid-July and mid-August, we managed to list ourselves on the OTC in both Frankfurt and in the United States, which was a huge milestone for us because it gave international investors access to buy H100 on the stock exchange. 22nd of August 2025, we were included in the Morgan Stanley Global Microcap Index, which of course is also a huge milestone because create liquidity inflows into our own stock. 19th of September 2025, we did a management change where Sander Andersen, the previous CEO and the founder, stepped up as the executive chairman of the company, and I, at the same time, took the position as the CEO of H100. And the last point on the screen here is our transition to IFRS, which we initiated in Q4 2025. And this might not sound very exciting, but it actually is, because it gives us the right infrastructure to take us to the next step, and it also makes our figures and our accounts comparable to other international players. And the report we published today is our first on accounted in accordance with IFRS. So H100 is today run on a very lean team, and we have a very skilled and competent board of directors. So the company is led by Sander Andersen as our executive chairman, me, Johannes Wiik, as our CEO, and then we have Elise Olsen on marketing and communication. The board of directors is Sander, me as mentioned, and then we have Joachim Dahl as a board member and Florence Aspinall as a board member. And recently we announced that we have acquired Future Holdings, a Swiss Bitcoin company, and we have brought on Richard Byworth as an advisor, Mark Sis and Donald Ever as advisors as well. And this gives us a very, very skilled both a management team, advisory team, and board of directors, which we believe will help us take us to the next step. We are backed by some great shareholders, and I can't mention all of them here, but 3 of our main backers are, of course, Adam Back, which is our biggest shareholder today. We have UTXO and we have Fulgur Ventures. So we are very grateful to have such great shareholders on our cap table. Then I will move over to the financial results of the fourth quarter and year-end 2025. I will start with the P&L highlights for the fourth quarter 2025. The net sales amounted to 3 million Swedish kronor. We had operating costs of minus 299.4 million. The operating loss was minus 296.4 million, and the net financial items was minus 3.7 million Swedish kronor. In total, the loss after financial items was minus 300.1 million Swedish kronor. And it's very important to say here that the loss here is mainly non-cash flow items, which means that the loss in huge parts come from the downturn we have seen in the Bitcoin price and not actually cash going out of our account, which is very important to say here. And I also want to mention that the 2024 numbers isn't really comparable, given that we did the reverse takeover of this company in April, and also that last year don't reflect our Bitcoin strategy. Then I move over to the P&L highlights for the full year 2025. The net sales for the full year was 11.8 million Swedish kronor. We had operating costs of 352.3 million. We had an operating loss of 340.5 million, and the net financial items was minus 14.3 million. So the total loss after financial items was minus 354.8 million Swedish kronor. Then over to the balance sheet highlights as of end of year 2025. So total assets was 892 million as of 31st of December, compared to 2.65 in 2024. Our Bitcoin holdings increased from 0 in 2024 to 1,046 year-end 2025. Our total equity as of year-end was 814.2 million compared to 1.1 million in 2024. And as of 31st December, we had a cash reserve of 30.6 million Swedish kronor, which means that we have a great liquidity pool held in Swedish kronor to make sure we can run this organization for a very long time in bad market environments. So, what is the key takeaways from this report? I would say that the key takeaways is that we have accumulated 1,046 Bitcoin during 2025, and we started the Bitcoin strategy 22nd of May. So we actually have acquired 1,046 Bitcoin from end of May until end of December. Our assets increased to 892.4 million, and we have an equity of 814 million Swedish kronor. And again, it's very important for us to say that the losses was mainly non-cash items, and we have a very strong liquidity that allows us to have a long-term focus and really build this organization to survive both in good and bad markets. I would recommend and refer everyone to read the full financial report, which is available today on our webpage. And by that, I want to give the word to our Executive Chairman, Sander Andersen, which will give an update on the Bitcoin strategy.
As Johannes has mentioned, last year we decided to execute our Bitcoin strategy. And after our first purchase of the 4.39 Bitcoin, we decided to use Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And last year, we increased our Bitcoin holdings from the first purchase to year-end with over 23,000% and held 1,046 Bitcoin by year-end. To accomplish that, we actively used the capital market, and by issuing new shares at the premium to the net asset value, we issued 208% more shares and then gave our shareholder a significant Bitcoin yield. When we started this strategy, the capital markets was really efficient and accretive for our shareholders. We started with a convertible loan and then created a tranche system that helped us raise around 1.9 billion Swedish kronor in multiple capital markets activities. To accomplish that, we used private placements, we used convertible bonds, and Q4, when the market turns, we really look deeply into M&A. And as Johannes mentioned, we acquired Future in 2026 as one of the first transactions we did to grow the team and also look into expand products and services. We still have many different tools to use, but I want to spend this presentation more onto how we can utilize the balance sheet and the knowledge we have acquired over this period of time. But before I do that, I think it's very important to highlight that our capital structure is very clean and we have no debt maturing before 2030. Even in this drawdown, our debt is around 35 or represent around 35% leverage ratio. But the convertible loan has 0% coupon, and we have very favorable terms for our investors and the company. Even today, after this significant drawdown, we have a BTC coverage of that debt of 2.84 times what we have in debt. And as a company, we have a long-term view on the Bitcoin and are very comfortable with this debt situation. But what I think is the most interesting thing to highlight here is that we have built a fundament in our capital structure on Bitcoin. We see Bitcoin as a commodity with multiple use cases, from store of value, payment, infrastructure, digital credit, and as a simple treasury asset. But we believe this industry is now moving beyond passive holdings. We work in the Bitcoin industry every day, and by having expertise in Bitcoin, we have the opportunity to unlock new products and services for Bitcoin native investors and actively use that balance sheet as an asset and alignment with the broader community. This has huge potential in our opinion, and it's something the company will actively pursue going forward. One of the things I also want to highlight here is the strategic acquisition of Future Holdings. Future Holdings is a Swiss Bitcoin treasury company, and we used that acquisition to establish a strong presence in Switzerland, which are one of the leading financial hubs in Europe and in the world. And this provides H100 with local infrastructure and regulatory readiness in a key jurisdiction for digital assets and capital markets. And we also believe this positioned the group closer to institutional investors and partners worldwide. With this transaction, we also brought on board some great advisors, like Richard Byworth, with a long track record in convertible bonds, Mark Sis from private banking and private equity, and Donald Ever from private credit. We believe this transaction prepares us for the next phase of the company, which will be focused on products and services and how to actively use the balance sheet as a strategic asset going forward. For more information, we keep our website updated with a treasury dashboard where you always can go in, and I highly recommend you to go in and actively use that page for getting knowledge and insight on our company. With that, I want to thank you all for listening to this. We are building the future of finance powered by Bitcoin.